I'm sorry.
Okay. You know what? My brain was shut off when you said that, and I don't know why. When you said Celtish, my brain didn't go to the shitters. It went to, like, Celtic, and I was like, why are you talking shit about Celtic beds? Got it. I am with everybody. I am up to speed.
Yeah, well, I mean, I thought it was clever enough.
No, it was a funny joke.
I'll work on it. I will work on it and get back to you.
Richard knew that the wizard who touched it had to be Zed. And I mean, to his knowledge, all the other wizards are in the palace here with him. So, like, yeah, it had to be Zed, right?
Yeah. So Warren also found some info on the round bone of Addie's. It is involved in a forked prophecy having to do with the winter solstice, which is in a few weeks. Jade and I had to relearn this, that the first day of winter and the winter solstice are not the same day.
Okay, now we're going to have a little bit of a conversation here, just because in the official Terry Goodkind group, there was a conversation about this, like, this fucking week. And I can't really talk about all of it because a lot of what people were talking about are from later books.
Yeah.
Okay? There is confusion because the end of the last book ended about the first day of winter. And we know that they're talking about the winter solstice. But it really can't be the same winter solstice because there's no fucking way that it could be because the winter solstice at most in that year would have been like 2 weeks later because we were at the first day of winter. The theory that I read that makes a lot of sense is that there's a different calendar year maybe there. I also read somebody say that the hemisphere was maybe in a different area, so maybe they had different, like, winter is different up in the old world or down in the old world versus up in the new world. There's just a lot of confusion. There's a lot of proof in the later books that might point to a more specific timeline as to how long this book takes. But it seems to take, I mean, it's confusing because it seems like it has to take a year, right? Because the book started in winter and we know it ends or around winter solstice. The thing is, in winter solstice, it's supposed to be happening in a few weeks, right now, right?
Yeah.
And Richard has already been here for a considerable amount of time.
Yeah, I mean, as far as we know, it feels like he's been here for at least a month.
Yes. So, at most, maybe we were in November and but it's just confusing. There's a confusing timeline. That's all I want to say. There's a caveat about the timeline. As we get further into the books, we're going to dive deeper into it because there's a lot of proof, but it's all confusing.
So what you're saying here is that either all of this stuff has taken place within a matter of a few weeks.
Yes.
Or he has, in fact, been here for almost a year.
Yes. I just wanted to lay it out there because I thought it was really interesting that we were coming to this point in the book at the same time that other people in the Facebook group were talking about it.
So the prophecy that they found out about, right? It's a forked prophecy. And the true fork is the one that the woman in white is given to her people. Which, yes, again, initially we thought was a super awesome thing, and now we know it's really, really bad.
And Kaylin is not in a super great position. Like, she is actually currently
she has escaped.
Not a bad position.
Not as bad as she was, right.
Right.
So Richard asks what the other winter solstice has to do with literally anything, and Warren says that, well, it's the longest night of the year, and that since the world of darkness is the keeper's world, the veil is weaker on that night. Now, he's got a number of things in place to do some shit that night, but he needs an agent in this world and the Skrin bone in order to come through the gateway. If he's got it, then he can call the Guardian Skrin, kill it, and just stroll right through twirling a cane.
Right, so I think maybe our understanding of the Skrin bone in the last chapter was a little bit skewed. It seems like he doesn't necessarily call it for his side, like to fight for him. It's supposed to protect the gateway. And so either it will protect the gateway or it can be destroyed. That's why the other side would want it.
Yeah, they're the guardians of the boundary.
Right.
So they keep everybody away.
Right. They seem to be impartial.
But Warren says that since Richard's friend has the bone, that everything's cool, and we have no problems.
Yeah, we can just
Nothing
chill.
at all to worry about, because Addie totally still has the bone, and it's perfectly safe right where we... Oh, shit.
Yeah, we good. Or not.
Or not. Or whatever.
Or whatever.
So Richard thanks him and then makes a comment about someone so young being so smart. Warren thinks it's a joke until he realizes that Richard is being serious and he can't believe that no one has let him in on the little secret. Warren is actually 157 years old. There's additive and subtractive elements tied to the palace, making time move differently there. Everyone at the palace ages slow as fuck. 1 year for 10 to 15 of a normal person.
Which is holy fuck slow.
Very, very slow. Now, it does go on to say that, look, time moves the same for all of us. So you being here for a year will mean that 1 year has passed outside.
Right.
It's not like time is flying past you out there right now. We're just aging extra slow.
I thought that was important, because I did for a long time think that it was also time was like weird in the palace, but it's not. So it has been 30 years or whatever since Verna left, like for them too.
Right, they had to wait just as long. They just didn't experience the aging that happened during that time.
So theoretically, Jeb only aged 2 years in that time period.
Yeah, like 2-3 years, something like that. But Warren has known Pasha for over 100 years, which just makes all the immature bullshit that she pulled even worse.
Yeah. Like, that bitch is over 100 years old. She has no excuse to be acting the way she does.
Right. She's definitely not late teens, early 20s. This.
Yes.
Or she's been that way for an extra long time, which kind of makes it worse.
No, it does.
So he goes on to say that training a wizard takes somewhere between 200 and 400 years.
Jesus.
So without the spell, they would die before making wizard. Which makes it hard to believe that being a wizard was ever just a natural thing.
Yeah, it also, I mean, I think raises some questions about Zed. Like, is Zed that old? Or if he's not, obviously, it's not that bad. Well, I think we knew that, right? Wizards could train you, and it's easier.
Yes, actually, you're right.
We know that Zed wanted to train him, at the very, very least. So, I feel like at this point, I'd be feeling very gypped. If Richard does know this, in fact, and it's not just something we learned from Zed, I'd be very pissed. Get me Zed, now.
Now. Call him on the red phone. We gotta hash this out. So Richard is devastated by this news. He doesn't blame Warren, he just thanks him for telling him the truth, and then he leaves. He makes his way to the prelate's office, and all of the guards, including the sisters, just let him pass, because not fucking with him, especially after, we almost killed his pet. He's having a rough day.
Yeah, see, now, the thing that made him happy, that, quelled the sadness and the grief about Grash is gone. They tore that from him, too. So now, you got a real pissed off Seeker on your hands.
Yep, Richard is definitely in need of a beer. Speaking of, our third and fourth beers tonight are Gingerbread Cookie Milkshake Stout and...
King Cake.
King Cake. Oh, you got another cake. Lucky you.
Yeah, it doesn't smell great. It has cinnamon, milk sugars, and cocoa nibs.
Well, I don't know about yours, but this gingerbread cookie is actually pretty fucking good.
I had a feeling that one would be. I sniffed it, and it smelled amazing.
It's very sugary.
Yeah. This one's interesting. I've never actually had a king cake. I know it's something in New Orleans, I think, like a Mardi Gras thing, maybe. I'm not really 100% sure on where it's from, but I guess it's an interesting flavor. It's sweet. It's not the worst thing ever. I probably would not drink this beer if it wasn't in a sampler pack, though.
How does that compare to the last one you had?
I think I like the other one better.
Let me try that one, just so I know what you're talking about. Huh! All right, well, we are going to finish these up, and we will be back right after this. And we are back. So like we said, Richard is on his way to see the prelate. He goes through the shield, because that's easy as hell now, and his magic slams the door open in front of him. Not a good sign. Richard asks Anne why Verna didn't tell him, and she says that she instructed her not to, because, she's a bitch. Sorry. She wanted him to learn some things about himself before he found out, so he would get how important he is. But, he has been being kind of unobservant to not notice it himself until now. It was all laid out.
I feel like, for somebody who is as observant as Richard is, and seeks the truth, that's like his whole job title or whatever, it seems strange that the clues were all there. Like, the kids being there young, Verna being old, and everybody else she knew when she was younger still being that young. Like, everything was right there.
Richard is distraught. He tells her that he loves Kaylin, and he has to get back to her. Anne says that they can't just get the collar off until he learns enough to help. Like, they're not able to. But I feel like if this is a tool in your employ, and it's something you routinely do to another human being, you had better damn well be able to get it off.
Yeah, I think it's, though, because of his subtractive magic, maybe, that they can't get it off.
You mean like Richard is a special case, and that in a normal situation they would be able to, but it's just for him that they can't?
I think.
Okay, that could very well be. I mean, it does make sense that Richard has this extra layer to him that none of the other boys have, so maybe it is more difficult to do things with him.
I mean, I hope that most of these have, like, a fail-safe to where the other person could, like, pop it off if need be, right? Otherwise, it's pretty fucked up to put a thing on a kid.
Right, exactly.
And then be like, nope,
Check
can't
out
get it
these
off.
Chinese finger locks, kid. No, I don't know how they work. Go ahead and jam your fingers in there as hard as you can.
You gotta figure it out. Well, Anne tells him that he's going to eventually come to accept it, because everybody does. It's just easier when the boys come young and they adjust to it before they understand what they will be losing. Like, that's such a fucked up thing to say.
So fucked up. They're too dumb to know that we just stole their whole life from them.
Yeah, we were able to get them here under our spell and be able to manipulate them into going along with it before they have any real, concept of what the real world is. Isn't that great? Sorry that it doesn't work for you because you're a, functioning, rational human being that knows better. I'd be pissed too.
Yeah, and you would have a right to be. It's so bad. And these are the good guys, apparently.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
no, it's bad. It's bad. Richard mentions that Kaylin will be old when he leaves, and Anne says by the time he leaves, the great-great-great-grandchildren of everyone he loves will be dead and buried for 100 years.
Jesus Christ.
Holy... We talked in the last episode about how could you do that to somebody. I might have said, or I think maybe you said that she was just playing dumb. No, that was a very horrible thing that Anne did to Verna.
Yeah.
On purpose. She was not ignorant of it. It was awful.
Yeah.
And she's just full of shit like this, where you're like, everybody you love's going to be gone. For sure. So, but you'll be fine.
I just don't understand what your motivation is anymore at that point to go on. It feels like it drains any want you would have to keep going. Why do I want to be a wizard?
You have to go for you so you can serve all of mankind for the rest of your existence.
Oh, I want the headaches to stop so I can be a wizard, so I can serve other people.
Yeah,
people that I don't know and don't care about. So the only way I can get these headaches to stop and get the collar off is to cut my head off.
Yeah.
Kind of feels like that's where we're at.
You got a super sharp sword. Short. Are you short?
I'm just saying, this is a rough place to be for our hero, because I would be at the end. I would be at the end of my rope. I'd be like, where is the wine cellar?
You mean we wouldn't have that cool, calm, and collected Jade that we all love and know so much?
I feel like there was a lot of sarcasm in that comment.
No!
Oh, you're gonna see calm and collected Jade more